It is, first of all, happy first day of school. Happy game week. It is great to have you all here. It means it's really here, and I'm so excited. So I thought I'd take a few minutes and just talk a little bit about kind of where we were. It's been 17 months, Nate, since I got on board? 17 months, and I thought I'd talk to you. But first, I see a lot of our staff here. And 17 months ago, I think we had, where's Will Wheeler, our CFO? Well, we had a $39 million budget deficit. And, we were joining a brand new conference. We were joining the Big 12. Let's see, I was brand new. We had a new president. Actually, he hadn't even started yet. He didn't start until October 1. But I want to say a thank you to not only all of our staff that are here and those that are not here, but also a thank you to our coaches, a thank you to our campus colleagues. It was a period of mass transition, but it was also where we were contextually in college athletics. It was one of the top 5 most transformative times in college sports history. If you really think about it, at some point, if anyone would like me to go through the history lesson of college sports, Jason Shearer, I know, is fired up to hear this because I really nerd out on this. Our staff is like, don't ask her about this. But anyway, we had that massive $39 million deficit, and we had to make some hard decisions. We had to come together as a staff. We had to build a team. We had to set our course for where we were going. And we put together our bear down blueprint, and we've stabilized our budget. But really what I'm most proud of the fact is that we're starting to build that culture, that true team culture. We have some special momentum right now. Academically, this past year, we had our best GPA in program history. Athletically, we had 3 Big 12 championships, our first year in the Big 12. We had 3 teams go to the Sweet 16. We had 2 coaches of the year, and we had a national championship in women's triathlon, something we have not had since 2018. And, I was walking down Championship Drive right before I came here, and I was looking at that banner, and I thought, you know what? That's really what started it all. That started our momentum. Because we all started believing. We all started executing at a really high level. And as we continue to evolve in college athletics, I started thinking about kind of where we are right now. So I've talked about where we were academically and athletically and that momentum. And that's not even mentioning the College World Series, but also where we were as a business. I talked about stabilizing the budget. And that was through a lot of sacrifices that our staff had to go through. And I'm very thankful for all of their participation. It was also, we tried something different. We built Arizona Sports Enterprise. It was a 501c3. It was a startup. And under Tony Daniels' leadership and Brian Rooney's leadership and Nikki and Sammy and that incredible team that moved here just on faith, they built a brand new company, and they hit 114% of their revenue. Our Wildcat Club, it was a challenge for them as well. It is, when you're looking at all the different nuances that go into fundraising, you know what they did? They earned 47% year over year, an increase in 47% in philanthropic dollars year over year. So we have raised more revenue. Our conference revenue came in higher. We have cut our costs, and we have built that solid foundation to build us into the future. On a football front, I'm really proud of what Coach Brennan and the energy that he has built with that culture around this football program. He brought in 3 new coordinators. We brought back Joe Salavea, who is making a massive difference with our defensive line. We brought in 61 new student athletes, both transfers and freshmen. And, he retained some really key components. When you have Noah Fafita guiding your team, when you have Genesis and you have Dalton and you have Stukes and you have those defensive veterans, you know what? We've got a really good chance. And one thing, Coach Brennan, when I was listening to him talk today about owning the night and bringing back making sure that our community feels welcome. And Tony Daniel's going to talk a little bit about the fun initiatives that we have. But one thing I really appreciate about Coach Brennan is the culture that he's building. Those young men, they feel seen. They feel a sense of belonging. They feel a connection that is really special. You know, in closing, I was reflecting a bit last night. We had our welcome back barbecue, and we had a lot of our staff members spoke, and President Garamella gave us some words of insight, and Matt Muehlbach came and gave our keynote, and he talked about legacies. But I also was really impressed. Actually, I left there just inspired by two of our student athletes. We had our most successful team this year was our baseball team. Going to College World Series was incredibly special on the men's side. And then our women's triathlon team, they won a national championship. And so we asked a student athlete from each of those sports to speak to our staff, to speak to all student athletes on lessons learned. And it really touched my heart. You know, I saw Ella Wolf, and Ella talked about how did her team is an individual sport, but she said what makes her team so special was the connection. And she talked about the most connected team is the team that wins. And then Smith Bailey, he as a freshman, he was a starting pitcher in the College World Series. And he got up there and he talked about courage. And he talked about choosing courage over comfort. His words and Ella's words, they inspired all of us. And so if you were to ask me about just summing up the year, I would say it's about momentum. And I'm fired up to start our 2025 campaign. Our women's soccer team is off to a 3-0 start, right, Rachel? 3-0 start. Volleyball just had a great exhibition win, right, Morgan? And when's their first game, Morgan? This weekend. What time is it, Morgan? 6 o'clock. Okay, right? At home. So you get to go to volleyball and then hustle over to football. It's going to be awesome. But we have a lot of momentum throughout our programs. We've hired some new coaches, and I'm really proud to be standing here in front of you, and I'm really optimistic for the future. I also want to say a thank you to each and every one of you. I know journalism can be a challenging time right now. I know sometimes you come out there and it is hot and there is no shade. And I know, speaking for myself, as Nate likes to remind me, I'm not really a very good soundbite. But anyway, I just want to say thank you for supporting us. Thank you for covering us, right? David's laughing because he's like, yeah, she goes on a tangent and you ask her, what time is it? And she's like, let me tell you the derivation of the watch. I know, I feel you, David. But I just want to say a thank you for covering us, and thank you for what you do for the Wildcats. So with that, I'll take some questions.
JC, then Michael. Justin. I was like, I shall talk. I'm stuck.
When you guys were on the road last year, you were looking at other Big 12 venues. What were some things that you noticed, and how do you apply that to what you guys are doing here?
Yeah. The Big 12 has great fan support. The Big 12, a lot of the different cities that we're going to are smaller towns. And it very much like Tucson, there's a college feel. And so that was a great familiarity. But we're not going to Los Angeles. We're not going to the East Bay. We're not going to Palo Alto anymore. Like, we are going to Texas Tech and West Virginia, and those fans are passionate, and it's a different game day atmosphere. I can't really speak about how it was in the Pac-12 because, candidly, I haven't been in the Pac-12 since I was a law school student, so I can't totally talk about that because, candidly, my experience was a decade in the Southeastern Conference. But going into the Big 12, it reminded me a lot of what you're seeing in traditional college towns. A passionate fan base who really, really care. I have not played a game yet at Texas Tech, but I'm looking forward to the tortillas.
You see the cabanas and the special seats behind the end zone out right here in the corner of the stadium. How are sales going with those new areas, and what are you hoping that will bring to the game day experience?
Thank you. Thank you for asking. And the on-field suites are something we wanted to try this year and see how it worked. Sales are really robust, and we're optimistic. We're always looking for new revenue opportunities. But one thing that we heard from our fans when we did all those surveys is they wanted more premium opportunities. And so we thought we would try this year, and then we're going to continue to evolve it and see what's working, what's not. And, every year we want our fans to see something different. We want them to know that we are listening to them. And Tony will probably talk about concession prices. I think that was a top 2 item that our fans were like, hey, it's too expensive. Your concession prices are way, way high. So we worked with our partners in Aramark, and we figured out a way, and we worked it into our budget pro forma, and we lowered concession prices. We put those on-field suites because we wanted to try something different. And you asked about sales, and sales are really robust right now. So we're the other thing that we have not tackled adequately enough yet is the sound. We're going to bring in some portable speakers, and we know that's an issue, and we want to keep adjusting. But that's something that we have to tackle next year.
David, the Brian.
Desireé, you mentioned obviously the $39 million deficit, and that you have made some difficult decisions. What would you say is the most difficult decision you had to make to try to bring that back?
We had to look at every position, and we had to change our mindset. So every position we evaluated, is this mission critical? And every dollar allocation, we had to look, is this a want or is this a need? If it's a need, let's move forward. There were certain areas that we were not going to touch, like mental health. We're not going to touch that. That is something that is something as every athletic director across the country, we all worry about that. So we're not going to touch that. But everything else, you guys, we got to look and see, are we doing it the best possible way? If not, why not? And how do we evolve it? So we did not refill several positions, and we made some strategic cuts in terms of, like I said, is this a need or is this a want? We also, reducing the debt, there was like a 5-pronged attack. The first thing that we did, like I said, was we wanted to we had to raise more revenue. And we did that. And I talked about what the Wildcat Club did, what Arizona Sports Enterprises did, and what our conference revenue and then ticket sales. I know I'm also not popular for putting in that competitive fee. I apologize. The one good thing I will say about the competitive fee, though, is that we welcome all of our opponents and that they have the opportunity. When you're buying single game tickets, you also get the opportunity of contributing to our success by paying a competitive fee on every single game ticket. So we added the competitive fee, and I say that really tongue-in-cheek. You guys are supposed to at least snicker. Come on, at least roll your eyes and sort of smile. Thank you, Michael Leff. And so we increased our revenue, we cut our expenses, we renegotiated our debt, we renegotiated contracts, one of which was our Nike contract, which saved us roughly $2.5 million per year. And then we just had to shift our mindset. We had to took a collaborative approach in developing our budgets. We worked with our coaches and said, all right, because discipline equals freedom, right? Like all of our families always used to tell us that. Like I remember my mother always telling me that you can't have everything, but choose what's most important. And so we had to look and see how can we be more disciplined in our approach? What is our highest priority? What are our priorities for all of our programs? We worked with our coaches, and under Will's leadership, we created transparent budgets, and then we got to hold people accountable to those. So, and this was all amidst, we have a $20.5 million revenue share opportunity now. And so we had all of these changes, and then we had one of the largest transformations in college sports history.
So where would you say it are?
We're going to balance it at the end of fiscal year 26. And that's with the $20.5 million revenue share. And we are all in, we are competitive, we are fair, and we're good stewards of our resources.
Brian, go ahead.
Do you have any updates on naming rights for football or any facilities, like where and when you expect that to happen?
Well, I really wanted to introduce you all to Brian Rooney, who is our GM for Arizona Sports Enterprises, but he is actually making a pitch right now to one of our corporate sponsors. So I said, all right, you go do that, and you can knock that out. So I'll let you know very soon. We're making a lot of progress. We're making progress there, and so we are I'd love to tell you like, hey, we'll have it done in 2 weeks. I don't know. It could be 2 weeks. It could be 18 months. It's just, there's a lot of conversations and there's been a lot of analytics that have gone into that. It's usually about a 18 to 24 month process. And so that's, so we are active.
So would you anticipate that when one of those goes through, it would be at the start of the season, or could you see a mid-season?
Oh, we could always do them mid-season.
Any other questions?
All right. Thank you all.